Good afternoon and welcome to the new episode of Ekanath's Panthers. I'm Bryan F. Irving from Gethsemane Games and DH9 Radio, and I'll be your player and host this evening for this live play of 5 Leagues from the Borderland by our friends at Modiphius Entertainment. The regional maps are by Gethsemane Games, the music is by Tabletop Audio, the cover page art is by Dean Spencer with a background by Graphic Stop. I'm your player and host, as I mentioned, and occasional interruptions are by my Alexa device and by my cat, Demeter. So, welcome to the show and the episode. If you haven't seen earlier episodes, I heartily recommend you go back and watch them first, although you don't strictly necessarily need to. You should be able to follow the storyline, but it will give you an interesting perspective on how things are panning out. So, a quick rundown of what's happened so far. Ekanath's Panthers are a small warband of largely of ferals, but not entirely of ferals, cat-form ferals, who have come to this region 5 leagues beyond the borderlands to make their name. We have engaged demons, bandits, undead, rat people, and in our most recent conflict, some strange dark-eyed humanoid creatures that appear at a glance to be human but definitely weren't, as part of a quest we were recently given by our friend Suleiman and Nomad. So we have actually, I'm not sure the quest was given by Suleiman, but he has given us plenty of contracts in the past. He's also sent us a letter to say there's another contract. He has a beast he needs killing, a golem that's terrorizing the region. Having struggled and lost 2 warband members to a demon on a similar sort of contract, we're a little bit nervous about taking on that beast, but we will see. We will consider it. We certainly don't want to let Suleiman down. He's our only real friend in the region, and he's been quite good to us, so we would quite like to be able to do that. But anyway, we're currently on a high because we've just finished the first part of our quest. Having raided this hidden site, we found the quest item that we need, and we know that the next part of the quest is we have to go and speak to a hermit in the northern mountains who has some hidden information, some ancient secret information that we really need to advance our quest still further, and that this item we have found, this ancient piece of text, only he can really interpret it, so we need to visit him at some point. So that's 2 jobs we've got outstanding. We're currently camped not far from where we raided this ancient ruin in order to get this quest item where we fought those strange creatures. So we're going to start with our preparation phase for the next turn of our campaign, which I believe is campaign turn 9. Let me just check. It is. We're moving into campaign turn 9. The campaign turn in this game, it's not got a specific length of time, but it's approximately a week. So we've been here about 2 months or so beyond the borderlands. We've still only made 1 solid friend in Suleiman. So we would like to try and make some more, but we're currently camped in the middle of nowhere, and I'll just show you where the camp is. So if we pan out a little bit so you can see the full regional map, and we pan down, you'll see, oops a daisy, I've panned a bit far there, you will see our marker here in square 18. In square 12 you can see a marker for an unexplored location we noticed on the way past. We noticed something interesting up there, but we were determined to do this part of the quest, so we thought we'd come back to that. And in square 7 is the lair of the golem that our friend Suleiman would like to take us, or like us to take on at some point, but we don't feel ready for that yet. So the first thing we do in the preparation phase of each campaign turn in this game is we roll a D100. Let's roll our D100 and find out what local events occur to us while we are out in the middle of nowhere. And we're using the camping table, which is separate from the town table, and is more kind of leaning towards, oh dear, 92, okay. more sort of leaning towards sort of wilderness encounters. I say 92 because there's a vague rule of thumb in this game. Higher rolls are often more dangerous. It is a rule of thumb though, it's not set in stone. So while we're sitting around, you have a visitor. Conduct a normal travel encounter. See page 114. If the result suggests a battle encounter, your warband is merely involved in a tense standoff instead. Whatever the result, the warband must complete their preparation stage steps. So I have to come back to page 82 in a moment, but I need to check out page 184. While I do that, I'm just going to pop that back on this landing page I recently made that I'm surprisingly proud of. Thank you to Dean Spencer for the art there of the Jaguar. Okay, that's Dean Spencer's Jaguar Monk that we're using on that page, by the way, which you can pick up from his website at a very reasonable price, or you can buy from Drive-Thru RPG as well if you happen to be a publisher. It comes with a license to use in publishing and all sorts. Okay, so page 114, travel events. So we need to find out who we found. So it's an encounter. It's actually down a page or two. There we go. Let's roll a D100 and see who has stumbled upon our camp. We've probably spotted them coming because ferals are very, very good at spotting when they're being hunted or stalked or when there's a danger in the area. Oh, this is nice. What we appear to have found is a physician. Sociable. Here we go. So we have encountered a sociable physician who 65. Make a friend. Oh, they seem like a decent sort. You can add the new character to our friends. That's brilliant. I was just talking earlier about how we haven't made a great many friends during the course of our adventure. So I'm going to make a note on my pad. New friend. Physician, and I'm going to call this physician Delamar the physician. It's going to be, and he's quite a friendly, sociable sort. So he's joined us at the camp. He's stumbled upon our camp, probably with his retinue, and we've invited him in because he seems friendly enough, and we've shared some of our food and possibly something to drink with him as well. We do have a bottle of fine wine now. We could keep this fine wine to sell or to use later on to bolster morale, or we could drink it now with our new friend. No, I think we will just drink some of the standard wine, exchange stories with this physician, talk about how it would have been useful to have known such a man recently when one of our warband, when Kanji was injured, or when Balthazar hurt his paw finding firewood. We all have a good bit of a laugh about that, except for Ekanath, who also injured himself collecting firewood just the week beforehand. So there's an uproarious amount of laughter around this campfire as we all talk about that fact and how Ekanath also managed to hurt himself fairly recently. Anyway, we allow this physician to stay the night with us, and the next morning we all set about our different paths. We part ways, we thank him very much, and we'll probably see him again at one of the towns in the region, and to stay in touch because we got along so well. And I'm going to return to page 82 to find out what happens next. So that was our local event, was encountering that friend. So it's nice to have a second friend, especially as I was just saying, we haven't made many. So let's move on to step 2 in the preparation stage. So step 2 is hard times. During this step, you manage the finances of your warband as well as track the recovery of those injured in battle. And nobody was injured in the last battle. Everybody's doing fine at the moment, which is a nice change. So we just need to check the upkeep of our warband. Now we are under 6 people, so it's D3 crowns, marks rather. Should probably write a macro so I can just do this with a single click of a button. It's going to cost us 2 marks in order to keep our warband fed and watered and in arrows, because we don't have to go through arrows at a rate of knots, it has to be said. So we're back to 7 marks, which we're a little bit more comfortable with than we were last campaign round. We were struggling a little bit, but we're doing a bit better now. We've got a lot of loot to sell when we get somewhere we can sell as well. So healing is up next. If any characters are injured, well, we don't have anybody injured. We do have a couple of people who took a single wound during the last fight, but that's automatically healed by the time they get into the next fight. So we can move straight on to our next section, which is campaign activities. Because we're camped in the middle of nowhere, there are certain activities we can't take, such as gambling and hard work, which has been a one we've used a lot. Help the town guard is off the cards. We get 2 campaign activities, so we can forage for herbs, we can hunt, live off the land, which I think we might do. Mystic expedition, we tried that last time in the hopes of finding some congealed strands for Ekanath's magic. Unfortunately, none were forthcoming. We could pray. We've not been terribly religious up until now, so I don't think we're about to start. We could scout. I've not tried scouting before, so I think we will live off the land perhaps and scout. Yeah, I think we'll live off the land and scout. So let's do a live off the land roll first. Oh, actually we could train as well. Yes, now I think I would quite like to train. So am I going to do that? This is early stage in the campaign, so everyone's a little bit weaker than I'd like them to be. So actually, yes, I am going to train instead of one of the other 2 things that I chose. So if you have time to sit around, you have time to practice. Select a hero, they receive 1 experience point. Well, I'm going to select Balthazar and take him up to 10 experience points. So 87, I'm going to go back and decide what my second campaign activity. So I'd already talked about wanting to scout, but I'd also talked about do I live off the land or do I scout? Do you know what? I think I'm going to live off the land, because we haven't been able to get to a market to sell that stuff yet, and I would like to. So we're going to live off the land in order to offset the costs we've just had. So subsistence level hunting and foraging isn't glamorous, but it's free. So you hunt for food and some pelts to barter for new bowstrings. Your upkeep costs are offset for this turn. So those 2 gold marks that I just spent, I get back. That puts us back on 9, because I never spent them in the first place, it turns out, because we lived off the land instead. So there we go, 9 gold marks. That'll keep us going until we can get to a market to sell this stuff here. So that's that step completed. Step 4 of the preparation phase is trade, which you can only do with settlements. So step 4 we have to skip straight past and find step 5 instead. Step 5, research. You may wish to do some preparatory, this was the 3rd week in a row of mispronounced, preparatory work for the adventure ahead. During this step you may carry out a roll for connections, or you may attempt to track down a camp or hideout. Well, I'm half tempted to track down a camp or hideout this time, because I've just made a friend, which is nice. But no, I'm going to have another go on the connections table this round. We'll start looking for camps, because we've got a lot of adventure opportunities ahead of us. If you're in the same map area as a town, you may take the offer of a contract, otherwise treat this as no result. So no result, nothing happened in step 5, so we skip straight to step 6. Decide your adventure. Choose what you would like to do this campaign turn. The following options, detailed fully in the adventure section, include explore a location, battle an enemy threat, ride a patrol, carry out a contract, or rest up. Well, we do have a contract on the books, but we don't feel ready for that yet. Quest, we could go on the next stage of our quest. We are quite excited for this quest, so that does feel like a logical thing to do. Or rest up. Well, we don't need the rest. So ride patrol, battle an enemy threat, or explore a location seem to be the options. So there is that location near us that might be interesting for us. But I think we're going to progress our quest a little bit. So let's do that. So I'm going to pretty much stick with the equipment loadouts that we used the last time. And then I'm going to go on to the quest. Now, I already know what the next step in the quest is because I generated it between campaigns, and I did between shows. I did say I was going to tell you. I should have done that earlier, I suppose, but we happen to know that our next quest, and when I did reference it, is that we have to go and speak to this hermit who lives in the middle of nowhere. You need to get help from a wise individual who has the information for you, but nothing is free. At the location, you must generate and carry out a contract you receive to pay for this. Okay, once a contract has been completed, you may return to the location to complete the task. So let me just pull up my quest. Quest 1. You need to get help from a wise individual. Yeah, that's the one. So, the wise individual, I will just show you, he lives a long way from where we are now. And that means we have to do a little bit of travelling. And there's always a risk in this game whenever you travel. So you see this glowing red quest location 2 up in square 2. That's where we've got to reach from all the way down here in square 18. So we are travelling north, sort of north by northwest really. We're passing this adventure location we spotted but haven't explored yet. We're passing this region that is troubled by the golem, and we're going to head up to 2. But something will happen during the journey, so I need a journey check. So I'm going to put myself there because it might be that it's something relating to this golem that happens. Let's just have a look at the preparation stage we've done. So adventure stage, travel, here we go. 211. When you want to go somewhere in the campaign world, you'll need to travel to get there. This means tagging along with a caravan, trade caravan, following winding paths through the countryside, or trying to find your destination with only an old worn map, lodestone, and your adventures. So what I'm going to suggest is we've travelled this far with our friend that we've just met. After saying we were going to part ways, it turned out that's that strange British thing where you always say goodbye to someone and then have that awkward moment when you realise you're all going in the same direction. So Delamar asked where we were headed. We told him we're heading north, west of the large nomad camp. I'm travelling to the nomad camp. Why don't you travel with us for a while? There is safety in numbers. So we continue to travel up through this area till we get about here, about square 7, which is round about the time that we'll be parting ways with Delamar, the physician. He'll be heading east to the nomad town, and we'll be heading north to find this hermit. So let's see what happens during our travels. It probably happens, to be fair, just after we've separated, because I did say he was with a retinue. There is safety in numbers, so whatever's likely to happen, we're at a higher risk of it happening to us when we don't have the larger numbers of this caravan and guards and so on. So let's roll D100, find out what did happen. 14. Uneventful travel. Absolutely nothing happens. Well, that's nice. It's not often that happens. So we get here, we climb into the lower reaches of the mountains. We spend a few days trying to find the Hermit's cave. We've gone up the false trails multiple times before eventually our cat-like instincts, we pick up the scent of human and we find this chap that we would like to speak to, and we enter his little hut on the side of the mountain very cautiously and with our weapons left behind us, and we introduce ourselves. We call out to say we're coming so we don't startle him, and he cautiously comes out and looks at these strange cat people, so we kind of kneel to look less aggressive, and we say, we have come for your great wisdom. We have heard from far and wide that you are a wise person, and we would like your help on our quest. There are some things about these notes that we found that we don't quite understand, and we were rather hoping that this might make some sense to you. Could you help us? Can you help us so that we can complete the quest which we have embarked upon and taken a look at these things? He says, yes, it will take me a little while, a day or two perhaps, and in the meantime there is something that I need doing which is not for me alone. Would you be willing to do it for me, and in exchange I will give you the information that you seek? Yes, of course, whatever. We must complete our quest. We are sworn to do so. So please tell us what it is you wish us to do in exchange for this information, and we would gladly do it. We say through gritted fangs, because we know that contracts can sometimes go just that little bit wrong. So page 110, let's find out what the contract type is. We don't need to worry about the source, because we know the source is the Hermit, and we know the reward is the information that progresses our quest. It will be the second quest activity. So we roll D100 to find out what it is he wants. 33. Well, as it happens, he would like an item retrieved as well. Now, we retrieved an item for Solomon recently, which was kind of a jewellery box type thing. So, and we just found it lying roughly where he'd been chased off by bandits. And they hadn't spotted it, and we were able to locate it. So we're kind of hoping for something as simple as that. It won't be, though. It never is it? So let's find out what the item is. So, contract for Hermit. I'm going to call the Hermit Herman. Herman the Hermit. And we are going to find out, so to retrieve item, we need to know what sort of location he might have found this in. Locate item. A trinket of great sentimental value has gone missing. It could have been taken anywhere now. Location, see below. Activity, see below. Success condition. Every time you complete one of the activities below, you may roll a d6 to see if you have located the item. Okay, so 30. Oh no. Okay, so recently a monster. Really didn't have to want to fight another monster. Recently a monster has ambushed the Hermit whilst he was out foraging, and he's left behind. He's had to drop what he had and run, and unfortunately in amongst those things that he'd foraged were some very important herbs and possibly a congealed string. Something he wants back is the point. So we have a monster to fight, whether we want to or not. So we now need to find out what the monster might be. Monster lair on your map. Okay, so I need to find a monster lair. I've got a nasty feeling that's going to be on the abominations table, which is always a bit grim. Monster lair. So you've discovered the lair of a dangerous monster, or at least We have been told roughly where the lair of a dangerous monster is. Must prepare an assault to destroy it. No doubt the fact that such lairs are usually full of treasure never crossed your mind. Well, in this instance, the only treasure we're really interested in is the thing that we have been asked by Hermit to bring back, so that he will advance our quest by telling us the information we need. It's rather difficult to find a way into. When the Warband arrives at a lair, the entrance must be located. Okay, so we travel off in the direction of this lair, and we're going to try and find it. We need a scouting test with an 8 or better. Now, one of us is a good scout. It isn't Balthazar, it isn't Ekanath, it isn't Leonidas, so it must be Kanji. It is Kanji. A lot of use out of Kanji. So Kanji's going to try and make a roll. He needs to score an 8 or better with +2. So 7. So he's failed. Okay, to reach the lair. If you're here because of a quest, contract, or other mission, add +1 to the roll. Right, okay. Well, we are here because of a contract, so that's +1. So that becomes 6, and the 2 for his scouting is 8. The target number was 8, so we have found it, but largely only with the help of the directions that Hermit gave us. If the attempt succeeds, you can assault the lair immediately or during any future turn. Mark the lair with an asterisk on your map. Once breached, it remains so for the rest of the campaign. If the attempt fails, okay, right. Once the assault is made, proceed to play scenario F, Monster Lair, on page 148. So 148. Let's just take a look at that. And once we know everything we need to know, we'll go to a break, during which I will set up the battle ready to play. So, Monster Lair. The air is thick with malice and barely contains sorcery. For a moment you hear a monstrous heartbeat echoing along the cavern walls. But surely that must be your imagination. No creature could be that large. Well, we've already met a demon, so we are aware. You're raiding a monster lair and will need to progress cautiously, as the beast may well be lurking inside, ready to attack. Having the entire warband charge in will no doubt alert the monster, so you have to decide to send in a scout. All of which I'm prepared to do, but I'm still trying to find out how we know what the monster is. And we're just going to go over to a brief break, during which time I will do all of that. Okay, welcome back to the second half of this week's Ekanath's Panthers, and we have generated the mission that Hermit has sent us on in order to try and retrieve these magical strings that he has lost somewhere, that he was chased out of the area by the Ogre. We've discovered it is. We're pretty sure, having checked the tracks and hunted the area, that what we're about to have to deal with is an Ogre that's somewhere in these caverns we're about to enter. So let's go over to the battle table, the battle page rather, that I've set up. Now, the map we're using here isn't one of mine. This particular map is by Save vs Caves, and you can pick this up on the Roll20 marketplace if you would like to. They do quite a few. This particular one is their giant caves. You'll notice I've got a bunch of characters positioned in the dark areas around the actual cave itself, and I've accidentally copied my guys in twice. That's just so I know where to grab them, where they are when I need them. Okay, so let's begin. So there's the Ogre, who will appear at some point. And just like one of the other battles we've fought in the past, we'll be creeping around here, and there are interest markers. Two of the other battles, I think, actually. Interest markers that when we get close enough, we'll find out what they are. One of them might well be the Ogre, but interestingly, it's quite possible in this battle that the Ogre might not be home at all, which is sort of what Ekanath's Panthers are hoping for. Have they arrived when the Ogre is out? Well, I guess we're about to find out. But first of all, in order to play this particular lair invasion, we have to select one member of the group who starts from the start point 6 inches in and is scouting, is on a reconnaissance mission. We don't commit everybody at once. We've seen this happen in one or two of the games before as well. So this is a monster lair battle, which for those of you who have a copy of the rules is on page 148 if you happen to be interested. So scout deployment. Select which member of your warband will scout ahead and place them within 6 inches of an entry point to the battlefield. Put a token marker at that entry point. Well, we're going to use this entry point here that was centered on in the southeast corner, so I don't need to put a token marker on. I've already located all the guys that are going to be used near it, so we know. So I have to decide who's going to go first. Now, usually in the past, Ekanath, he likes to lead from the front. He doesn't like to give jobs to his warband that he's not willing to display that he will do. So he's ready, he's prepared to go in first. But on this occasion, Kanji stops him. And he says, Ekanath, please allow me. I want to go first this time. You're our leader, and yes, you can summon the cats to protect you if you get into trouble. But it doesn't always work. What happens if something goes wrong? What happens if the creature gets to you before we can get there to support? I'm a trained scout, is what I do. Let me go first. On this occasion, let me go first and find out what dangers we might be running to. Please let me do this. Ekanath resists at first because he's the leader and feels that he should lead from the front. But Kanji does make a strong case. The others say, and Kanji is actually more qualified at this. He is, after all, a trained scout. So eventually, reluctantly, Ekanath agrees. So Kanji is going to be our deployed scout for the first thing. Ekanath is very worried about this because Kanji's been down as a casualty once before. So all the way through, Ekanath's going to be a little bit on the nervous side. But Kanji is going to be our scout, and we are going to deploy him 6 inches inside the is that Kanji there? It is, yeah, 6 inches inside. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he'll be deployed there, sneaking in as quietly as possible. This is something he is quite skilled at, but it's dark in here, so he's going to be relying a lot on his night vision. Cats see well in the dark. Now, one of the other things I've done here is I've set this up and I've used Roll20's new dynamic lighting to create advantage, because not only have I placed the walls where they are, but I've also used some one-way vision so that if you're in one of the lower areas, you can't easily see up onto the top, but somebody on the top can look down on you. So this will be a disadvantage for us. It means we might run smack into the Ogre before we ever see it. So let's just find out. So scouting. Scouting the lair takes place in a series of moves. Each move, the scout may move up to their normal movement speed in any direction. At the end of each move, roll 2d6. If any unusual locations are within line of sight and closer in inches than a dice roll, the closest such location has been scouted. Roll d100 on the curious locations table to determine what was found. Now, the curious locations table here is specific to this type of lair invasion. So there's a 10% chance that we wouldn't find anything at all. There's a chance that we'd find tracks. There's a chance we'd find captives. There's a chance we might find the monster's hoard. There's also a chance we might find the monster and be unaware that we're there. But on 86 to 100, we've found the monster and it knows that we're coming. So let's start. Let's make our first movement. 2, 4, 6. So Kanji's creeping forward. Can he see anything at all that looks like No, he's aware there's a ledge rather to the north of him, but he just can't see up on top of it very well. So he's nervous about this. There might be an enemy there, but he doesn't know. So he's going to creep further in. 2, 4. Why am I doing 2, 4? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He still hasn't encountered anything. So third move. This is making him nervous. He's getting a long way from his support. So he's sticking close to this wall. 3, 5, 6. And still nothing. Now he's barely able to be certain that they would hear him shout for help. So his heart's pounding rapidly. He's getting very nervous. But from here, he's spotted something. There's a curious thingy marker just up there. He's only just caught a glance of it. So, can he scout it from here? I'm going to say probably not. But it's possible. So it is 11 squares away. He does get +2 on his scout marker. On his scouting rather, because he has the scout skill. So 2d6 +2, he needs 11 or better in order to have reconnoitred it. 6, 8. It's just too far away, and he just can't crane his neck sufficiently to try and get a good look there. So I am going to click back on Kanji's view, and I'm having a little bit trouble actually because it doesn't want to give me the view back. It's just giving me the Games Master's overall view instead of switching to a player's view. So I'm going to reload roll 20, which usually fixes this problem when and if it occurs, and then Kanji's going to creep in a little bit further, still getting very nervous about how far he is from the entrance point and how horribly things could go wrong if he gets caught by this ogre before he can get close enough to call in help it, before the others can get close enough to be of any help. Steering wheel bit there, right you are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see what Kanji can see from here. He might have lost track of that last marker. He has a bit. He's aware there are things all over. He is aware there is light coming from a fire in the east, some kind of campfire, which makes him think that creature might be there. There's a small raised bit ahead. Off to his right, he's aware there's other corridors. He knows now he's in a position that things could go horribly wrong quickly, so he's got to pick a route and hope it's a relatively safe one. So he's going to try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there you go. He can quite clearly see that marker now. It's 9 squares away. So again, he needs 2d6 and he needs to beat 9, but he gets +2 to this roll. So he rolled a 9, that's 11. That means he can see what that marker is. So let's roll and find out. We roll a d100. If it's 86 or more, it's the beast and it's aware of his presence. If it's less than that, then things might not be quite as dire just yet. So let's roll the d100. 12. So on 12, monster tracks. If this was the first or the second marker, the next marker you investigate will treat any result of nothing at all or monster tracks as the beast is unaware instead. If this was the last marker, well, it's not. So we know that round about here he has spotted some tracks which will lead him to one of the other markers. If I can just manage to click on this marker so I can delete it now. Okay, so those tracks might give him a clue as to where the other 2 markers are, and his heart sinks because they are deeper into this dungeon, and he's getting a long way away. He's feeling very isolated and frightened, but he is a heroic little cat, so he is going to press on. And okay, something odd has happened because now I can't pick anything up. I think I've just accidentally changed to the Games Master's lighting layer there, was why. There we go. Okay, so we know that the tracks are leading north from here. So he's going to creep north from here. And that's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. He still hasn't seen this thing yet. So he's moving on and he realizes that here, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, here, the tracks split both east and west. The creature could be either direction. And if he gets the wrong direction, he might have the creature behind him. This is something he needs to worry about. So he's going to cautiously move. I don't know, I'm kind of drawn to the east, but it is further away from the entrance a little bit. So now I'm going to go west. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there he's spotted it. So he's going to make a roll and see what he gets this time. There's something of interest up here. And it's a captive. You've discovered a captive, an unconscious adventurer or survivor of an attack. You sneak to the exit and join your warband there. They are a follower with a starting character profile and begin the game wounded. They have no equipment, though they can be outfitted with any spare equipment that you have. If they do not become a casualty, you may have them join you. If so, they become loyal. If you do not take them along. Okay, well, I'm going to take this this guy. Now, it says here that they sneak along to the excuse me, that they sneak out to the exit and join the rest of our warband there. So we're going to Kanji's going to send him back with a message to the others to say that this cave is huge, it's massive, and it's getting to the point where he's kind of spread a little bit thin. He might start to need them to come in soon. So he's going to send that message back with this guy, and then he's going to progress and try and find this ogre. 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's 2 more moves, and he's cautiously moving around here. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's dangerously close, and if that's the ogre, well, then we might have a problem on our hands. 100, unless, of course, it's unaware of my presence, which would be quite nice. Let's see, D100 roll. 25. And right. Okay, just need to read this. So this is monster tracks again. Right. The monster is roaming. So if you rolled nothing at all, this is if you roll monster tracks for a second time, which I just did. If you roll either nothing at all or monster tracks, any result of nothing at all or monster tracks as beast unaware instead. If this is the last marker, go to the monster is roaming at the top of this page. Okay, so the monster is roaming. It's possible none of the locations will reveal a monster. If so, it is roaming the land, and you may lay an ambush. Set up your warband any way you want on the table and proceed to step 3, page 150. Okay, so we've discovered that the creature is out, but unfortunately, also we haven't been able to find these congealed strands that our hermit wants us to find, which can mean only one thing. It can mean the creature has them on his person, and we have to wait for it to come back. Okay, so I need to find out how we set this up. The battle the monster was roaming. Place the monster at an entry point of your choice and move it one normal move towards the center of the table. If a warband member is now in sight of the monster, begin the normal battle with the round 1 initiative roll. Okay, so we know that the creature's coming back, and we are able to position our warband as we see fit. So, and I also need to stat up a new follower that's going to help us. So there's going to be a quick time shift, because I'm going to go and do that and then start the recording straight up again afterwards. So you'll think I've done it in a split second. Okay, so Yanaro is the name of the young nomad that we've just rescued from this ogre's lair. Yanaro, who was probably about to be the ogre's dinner, quite frankly, is probably what was in store for him. He's managed to make it back to the main entrance and warn the rest of Ekenath's Panthers that the place is huge. It's an extensive cave system, but it would seem very much like the creature isn't here, so if we're quick we could get in and set up an ambush. Now, understandably, we don't know this man. We're a little bit nervous, we're a little bit uncertain. Who is this person? Is this a trap? Has something befallen our friend Kanji? Well, we don't know at first, at least, but Kanji had the wisdom to mention something that only he and the other members of Ekenath's Panthers excuse me, would have known in the first place. And he told Yanaro to tell them this thing. So he says to them, "Do you remember? Not a week passed when Balthazar fell whilst hunting for firewood and hurt his paw. The exact same injury, in fact, that Ekenath suffered just a week prior to that. It was almost as if there was some strange fate behind it." The Panthers bristle a little bit. Fate? You say that fate is against us? No. Kanji thinks that the fate that was acting was that it would give him something to tell me, so that I could prove to you I'd spoken to him. We think about this for a moment and we think, yes, of course, that makes perfect sense. Perhaps he has been sent by Kanji. So we decide to trust this human and allow him to lead us into the caves, where we set up an ambush, noticing that the caves have a lot of excuse me, have little hidden nooks and crannies and elevations all over the place. We decide to position ourselves around the place. It's slightly dangerous for us because we are quite scattered, quite diverse. This creates the danger that we might be picked off one at a time. We hope that the ogre has no missile weapon, of course. We don't know that for certain. Anything could happen. We also notice that Yanaro has nothing, no equipment to his name, and we can't allow that. So Leonidas takes off his his crossbow and his quiver full of bolts and says, "Here, Yanaro, if you're going to help us with this, then take these." No, I couldn't possibly do that, Yanaro says. "What will you fight with?" Leonidas grins. "I was always more of a melee fighter than a missile fighter. I was always more comfortable swinging this sword," he hefts his massive bastard sword in his hands, "in close one-on-one combat than I ever was standing off and shooting. So, you take that and make good use of it." And he hands it to the human nomad and tells him, "Find somewhere to hide as we set up our ambush ready for the beast coming back." And we're there quite some time in the darkness, but fortunately we can see quite well in the darkness. Cats can, but we do need a little bit of light. Of course, that fire, the embers of the fire, are still burning and giving us just enough light for our cat-like eyes to be able to see in this gloom, in the gloaming. And our ears are twitching, waiting to hear the ogre returning. Of course, I don't think that ogre's likely to come back through the same entrance that we snuck in through in the first place. There are, after all, 3 entrances here. So it might very well come in another way. So what I've done, although the rules say I can select an entrance, I felt it's a touch unfair for me to just pick an entrance, because I've already been able to set up an ambush. If I get to pick an entrance, I'm just going to pick the one that gives me the best chance of success. So I have instead numbered each of the entrances. The southern one we came in as 1 and 2. The western one is 3 and 4, and the northern one is 5 and 6. And I'm going to roll a d6 randomly, and we're going to find out which one the ogre comes in through. And you will notice if it comes in through 1 and 2, that's ideal for us. We're going to get the drop on him. A couple of positions we're in, wherever he comes, we'll be able to take some pot shots at him before he can get close to us. If he comes in one of the others, however, things might not work out quite so well for us, especially if he comes in 5 and 6, and he could be round that corner and on top of one of our fighters long before it becomes apparent it's there. If he's cautious, who knows? So let's just find out which way he comes in. And we've rolled a 6, so the one I was saying, the entrance that we'd least want him to come down, that's where he's coming. So he's come back that way. All eyes and ears are concentrating on the entrance we used, and we're not really paying quite as much attention to the others as perhaps we should have done. Is that going to be a fatal mistake? Well, let's hope it's not, but we're about to find out. So I'm going to go back to page 152 to find out exactly how we spring this ambush. So let me just find... if the monster was roaming or unaware, it is surprised in the first round of battle. Will act normally, but all Warband members receive a combat bonus in melee combat or a +1 bonus to hit when shooting. This applies only during round 1. Well, unfortunately, we're quite dispersed, so it's unlikely that many of us are going to be able to get a shot off at this thing when it comes around that corner. But let's have a little look and see. So, the creature, I have its stats up here somewhere. Let's just find quest 1. Ogre has a movement of 5. I should probably jot these down. So Ogre, it has a movement of 5. Its combat skill is +2, so it's really good at this. This is on a par with Leonidas, which is not something we're often faced with. It's melee, it gets +1 to overcome armor, which is really bad news for us because we're not heavily armored, and +1 to overcome toughness, which is also quite bad news for us. It has 2 points of armor. This is just getting worse and worse, and toughness is 5. Now, to make matters worse, it has 3 monster points. Now, monster points are equivalent to 2 wounds each. So in order to kill this creature, we either have to get 3 kill results on it, or we have to do 6 wounds in total instead of the usual 2, or any combination thereof. So what would normally kill a normal person simply inflicts 2 wounds on this ogre. And yeah, this could be quite nasty. So our advantage is going to have to be pressed, and our advantage is surprise, but that only lasts for the first round of combat. Now I'm going to say the combat doesn't begin until somebody sees somebody else. That seems logical. So this ogre coming home moves 5, and as he gets there, he's actually come into range of, I think that might be Kanji, it is, who sees him, and combat begins. So we're going to have to roll initiative, and we would really like to roll well on this one. So there are now 6 of us actually with Yunaro, so we'll roll a 66, so I'm probably going to have to type that in because it only goes up to 5 on the dice roller. /roll 6d6. We scored a 1, a 2, a 3, a 5, a 2 and a 5, which means 3 of us will get to go first if I give these points out to the best of my ability. So we know Kanji has a agility of 2, so he can use one of the 2s, and we know Ekanath has an agility of 2, so he can use one of the 2s, and then we know everybody else has an agility of 1. So I can give a point out to one other person. So I think I'm going to give that out to Altran, because I think Altran might be in range of this guy. So let's find out. Okay, so I'm going to start with, Altran's going to see if he's within range first of all, and he is. He's only 12 squares away, so he can shoot from there at this thing. So shouting a warning to Kanji, it's coming down the passageway. He knocks an arrow and fires. Thump. Let's see if he hits it. So at this distance in the open, so it's within range, it's going to be a 5 or a 6 he's going to need here. 4, so he's missed. The shot goes up the corridor. As this thing goes hurtling past him. But before it can really recover, Kanji leans round the corner and twang, fires his own shot. Now he's much closer, so 3 or better is enough for him to score a hit, and he has hit. So that arrow has found its mark. It's hit the ogre, but can it overcome the ogre's toughness? Well, on a 1 or a 2, then it hasn't. So let's hope we score something other than that. And we did. We scored a 4, so it's overcome the ogre's toughness. So, armor. So at the very least, we know it's caused a wound, but this thing has a lot of wounds to be dealing with. So on a 6, it causes 2 wounds, which would be a kill on a normal thing. Anything else causes single wound and a stun. 6! Oh, what a brilliant start. So Kanji's feathered this thing with hold on, I'm going to start marking wounds down here. 6 in total, 2 off, that leaves it with 4. He's shot this thing in the chest. One of its pectoral muscles now has this wacky great bull thing sticking out of it. It's bellowing in rage, and Kanji thinks, I'd best not be here when it comes round that corner, so I'm going to withdraw slightly. So Kanji's movement is 6, as we know. He's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to pull back, and he's going to warn our newest recruit here, Yunaro, that this thing is coming. Now Ekanath has also heard the yell from across the caverns. He's obviously well out of range for anything he has, and also he can't actually use a summon at the moment because we have too many fighters on the board, and one of the rules is you have to have 5 or fewer. We have 6, so he can't use his summon. His other spells are not great for what's happening at the moment, so I'm just going to reposition them slightly. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to move him to there, and now it's the ogre's turn. So the ogre, angered, is going to come thundering in. Now interestingly, the ogre doesn't have a dash bonus, so it just moves 5. So let's see where it can get to from there. It can get to that square there. So it's going to. It's going to come around this corner, bellowing its rage at these impudent furry little creatures that have shown up in its lair to attack it. And we see this thing and think, oh, that is huge. That is much bigger than I'd hoped it was going to be. So Yunaro already knew what size this was going to be. Yunaro hasn't had his vision set up. The message is just telling me, so I'm just going to set token vision. Now he doesn't see in the dark. He's not a cat person, so it all depends on that light. Yes, the light is enough. He can see the creature, but he can only partially see the creature, which is partially in cover from where he is because of this stalactite. So that gives it cover, which means even at this range he needs a 5 or a 6 to hit. That's a 3. He's missed, so he is frightened. He knows what this thing can do, so he's going to pull back. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's off and running. Leonidas is over here. There's not a great deal he can do. He's going to hold his position for now. Well, he's going to move slightly around. He's going to creep around the side of that stalactite so the ogre doesn't know he's there. So once it gets within range, he can rush it and hopefully take it by surprise. Ekanath has already gone, so that leaves Balthazar. Let me just see the range on... He is 26 squares away, and I think that that is out of range. So I'm just going to check that. Mark the page I need to come back to. So I need to find out a self-bow range. So range, because I think it's 24, but I might be thinking of crossbows. So let me just have a look. Oh great, I've got 161 returns for range, and it's included things like strange and ranger, which is not what I was hoping it was going to do, but okay. Be like that. Let me just... Okay, I'm going to clean that off, and we are going to go and look at self-bows under the equipment instead, and hope it'll tell us there. Generating heroes, general followers, warband. Hold on, I say followers, friends, skills, character, heroes, armor, weapons. There we go, 24. Should be under 24. Okay, it tells us what weapons we can have, but it doesn't tell us the range of those weapons right here, which is I was afraid that might happen. Sometimes games do this sort of weird thing where they reference the weapon early on and then don't give you anything useful like its stats till much later. So I'll just have a look for equipment. There's a separate entry. Okay, so let's try melee combat on page 4. Yeah, sorry, missile combat, which is going to be on about page 42 or so, isn't it? No, okay. I hate slowing the action down like this. We're really I'm just going to say we're out of range, because I'm 90% certain that that is going to be out of range for this type of bow. So, equipment, weapons. Let's see if under that it gives us more information. I found that. So, self bow, range 18. It's a long way out of range. So he can't shoot from there. What he can do, however, is move a bit closer. So he will. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll get him to there. And I think he's still going to be out of range of this thing, but I'm going to measure again just to find out. So 18 is the range. 23 the target is. So no, he can't shoot either. Leonidas can't shoot. So that's it. That's combat round 1, and we're all done. So, bad news for us. Let's take the fast action tokens off those characters that got them. So that's come off Kanji, that's come off Ekanath, and I'm sure there was one other person. Yes, there is. Altran, of course. Just need to make myself a little bit more room to maneuver there. No, it's not bringing his up. Come on. Altran, huh? It just won't bring. Ah, there we go. Good. Right. Okay. So we need 66 again. So /roll 6d6, and we're looking for 1s and 2s here. And we scored a 2. And that's it. So Kanji's going to have to take that 2, otherwise Kanji is going to get caught by this ogre and squished like a bug, would be my bet. So, unfortunately Altran's kind of blocking that route down, so Kanji's going to have to jump off the side of this thing, which will slow him down a little bit. But, well, I don't know actually, by the time he's pulled back 1, 2, 3, 4, he gets to there, doesn't he? Now, I don't think he's going to be able to see that ogre from there, so let's find out. He can't, so he should probably have shot before he went, but that's Kanji's mistake. He's panicked a little bit, and he's just run for it, trying to pull back. He's looked round to fire a shot at the pursuing ogre, and he can't get a clear shot on it. So the ogre is going to come 2, 3, 4, 5 up to there. That seems like 4 to me, so I'm going to move it 1 further. So Kanji's still outpacing it, but he's now in cover from Kanji as well. So the people who have got 1 Naro can now, he can't shoot from there because you can't shoot through your own people. People are cover, it says in the book. So 1, 2, and then he'll jump off there. That's 3, 4. So he gets to there. Can he get a clear shot at the Ogre? No, he can't. He can't see him up that slope. So that's him done. So it is that Altran there? Yes, it is. Let's just see if Altran can see him. Altran's also not got his vision set, so let's just correct that. Can't see him from where I am. Now, the reason I can't is because of that thing I set with it being upper height, but I'm actually also upper height, so that's a slight flaw in the design of the dynamic lighting. So if I move to there, I'm on a level where I'm definitely going to be able to see him. So I am going to try and put a shot into him. He's 11 squares away. I've got a range of 18. That's fine. However, at that distance, I'm going to need a 5 or a 6 to hit him. And I scored 3. So twang. That shot's gone absolutely nowhere. Leonidas is going to continue to conceal himself from the Ogre in the hopes the Ogre gets close so he can hit him. Ekanath has nothing really he can do from there. So our attempt to ambush this thing has kind of backfired a little bit in that we're just too spread out. We have Balthazar now has the guy is in range, but can he see him? That's the question. Nope, he can't see him, so he can't shoot, unfortunately. So that's the end of the second combat round, or the third combat round, or whichever. Well, I think third. So we need to roll again. No, this will only be the third time we've rolled initiative, so it's only technically 3 combat rounds. In the first round, the creature just had to come in. So let's do another roll of initiative, /roll 3d6, and not 3d6, sorry, 6d6, 6d6. 2s and 1s we need here. We have 2 characters that can act on 2, and anybody else can act on a 1s, 2s and 1s we're looking for. And we scored 3 2s, but I can only use 2 of them because only Kanji and Ekanath have the ability to act on a 2. So Kanji's definitely going to be using one of those 2s. Ekanath will use the other one because otherwise it gets wasted. And everybody else goes later after the Ogre. So Kanji, can he see the target from here? Yes. He's going to shoot first and then run. So his first shot at that range, the enemy is in close range, but is also protected by that cover. On a 3, we have missed him, so I am off and running. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I could dash as well. No, I can't because I've shot. Never mind. Okay, so it is now the Ogre. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll put the Ogre at the top of this slope down. Actually, I forgot to act for Ekanath. There's not a great deal that Ekanath can do unless there are certain spells that he has that might be worth casting at this point. And actually, I don't think there are. He did learn a new skill, but it replenishes ammunition, and nobody's out of any yet. Touching wood. Hopefully there won't be. I could try Steel Break. For a full round, an enemy's armor is reduced by 1. But I could actually also try Premonition as well, which would give us an additional dice. So I think I'm going to use one of the standard strands that I found. Yeah, I'm going to use one of the standard strands that I found to try and cast that spell. So Ekanath needs a 7 on 2d6, but he does have a skill that helps him with his spells. He does have devotion, so he gets +2. So So let's have a go at 2d6. We need 7. 7, so we've cast it. So we have managed to cast Premonition, which means the next time we roll dice for initiative, we get an extra dice in the mix, as it were. So I've already moved the Ogre because I jumped the gun a little bit on him. So it's now time for our forces to open fire. So the new guy, he is going to take a shot and then move. Now he doesn't have a perfectly clear shot at the target. Sorry, just bear with me a second, would you? My real cat Demeter has decided that now is exactly the time to bug me for food. So just give me a second to pop some food in the bowl for her. There you go, girl. Good cat. Okay, so he's going to take a shot before he tries to slip off to somewhere a bit safer than this. The Ogre is in cover from where he is, so I'm going to say he's going to need either a 5 or a 6. He's got a 1, so that means he's run out of quarrels. He's panicked a little bit, and as he's run down there, he's jerked the container for the quarrels, and they've gone flying everywhere, and he's lost all the quarrels. So he is now useless to us because he has no hand-to-hand combat weapons at all. So unless he wants to punch the Ogre, which would probably be a bad idea, he's just going to have to get out of there, look for somewhere a lot safer to be. So now would be a great time to run away. So I'm going to run 1, 2, 3, 4 directly over here, knowing that there is a stronger force of cat people over there. He's trying to get away from this thing. Altran is now going to take a shot at the Ogre. Should be able to from there, really, because they're both up a height. So I'm going to say can. I'm going to have to measure it though, because he might have just gone out of range again. He hasn't. 13. Okay, so Altran is going to open fire. Let me try that. So it's 5 or 6 he needs. Oh. And Altran's just run out of ammunition. He's just scored a 1 as well. And the amount of times we run out of ammunition in these fights, you really would think we would carry more of it. Now then, I need to put a little marker on Altran to show that he too is now out of ammunition. So, marker, exclamation mark. Okay, so that's Altran's out of ammo. Bad news for him. So Balthazar, he's definitely within range now, and the Ogre has no cover. It's out in the open, so a 3 or better is all he needs to hit. He can't run out of ammunition on this shot because it will be his first one, I think I'm right in saying. So d6, and he would have run out of ammunition. Is this just defaulted to only rolling 1s now, is it, because there's 3 in a row? But he doesn't, because I'm pretty sure this is his first shot, because the thing's been in cover the rest of the time from him. So, out of range and then in cover. So, do we have anybody who hasn't acted on our side? Yes, we do. We have Leonidas, but it's a little bit early for him to spring his trap, because we need to weaken this thing up before we can risk it. So it's time to roll initiative again for the next round, and I need to remember that I get an additional dice this round because Ekanath cast the spell that he needed to cast, or that he wanted to cast, that would allow that. So it's /roll 7d6. I better stop rolling 1s now that I need them. Just watch. Okay, actually it rolled 2 1s. It rolled 2 1s and a 2. So I'm going to give 2 to Kanji. So he will go first, and I'm going to give the 2 1s to, let's see now. I will give that to, is that Balthazar there? Yeah. Who else is going to get the 1? I think we'll give 1 to Ekanath, because I have an idea. It's not a perfect idea, but it is an idea. So, first of all, Kanji's going to shoot this thing, and anything 3 or higher will hit, because it's getting worryingly close to Kanji. 3 or higher to hit. He's hit. That's brilliant news. Can he overcome the armour? He's going to need a 2 or better to do that. And he did. Can he score a serious wound, which would take 2 off the creatures? Would take 1 whole monster point off and 2 wounds. He would need a 6 to do that, otherwise it's just a wound. He's got a 4, so it's just a wound. So this creature is down now to 3 health. So it's halfway down, and it hasn't gotten into hand-to-hand combat with us yet. So that is great news. Why is that reading 2? I need to go in there and correct that, I think. Yeah, because that should read 6. And it has lost a total of 3. So it's got 3 left. And it's also stunned, which is great news. I've no idea why it's bleeding green, by the way. Have you noticed the special effect there? I adjusted its health. And it seems to be bleeding green. I have absolutely no idea. Perhaps ogres have green blood. Who knows? So I need to put a little stun marker on that as well. So I'll put these stars to show stars around its head as it's a little bit stunned. That's Kanji has fired. So excellent. Good man, Kanji, or good cat person, Kanji. So Balthazar is now going to open fire as well. He also needs a 3 or better to hit it. And he's missed. He's missed. That shot's gone wild. Oh dear. Right, so it's down to Ekanath, who's also going to act, and what he's going to do is he is going to cast darts, which would give somebody who's already expended all their ammunition a new quarrel or arrow. So I'm going to cast that for... I think I'm going to cast that for our new human recruit, actually, because he's closer and will be able to get a shot at close range. So we're going to try and cast that for him. So Dart, this is our second spell of the day, so this is our second strand out of 3 standard strands that we'll have. We also have those 2 crystallized strands, but if we use one of those, that'll be gone permanently. So I'll use a standard strand, and we are trying to cast darts. That's 6 or better he needs, and he gets +2 at this. So let me cast that. 2d6, 9. So that's it. He's got a 1 extra arrow, so he's actually going to fire that arrow at the thing this round, but isn't him to go. And I've just realised I forgot to move Kanji. I think it's unlikely that Kanji would have forgotten, so I am going to retcon that, because he is very nervous about the fact that this thing's coming for him. So I am going to retcon that one on the basis of there's no way he would have forgotten to run away. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's very survival depends upon it. He's a hit and run fighter at the best of times. He's certainly going to run from something that size. Okay, so it's the creature to go. And it moves 5. It's going to come, I think it's going to jump off there, which costs us 2 movement to get to there, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's almost run down this poor little human, who I don't think is going to be able to run away fast enough to get away from this thing. So he needs to pull the trigger and then run for it. And that is what he's going to do. So he is going to run. But not least pulled the trigger. He's aware of the fact that, you know, the catmen are all shouting at him, check your quiver, there's a magical arrow just appeared in there. So he grabs it, he loads it into the crossbow. He turns panicked when he sees this thing jumping down and running towards him. Poof! He fires the crossbow bolt at that range. Hard to miss, but not impossible, especially when you're panicking and your fingers are shaking with terror. So 3 or better to hit. And he rolls a 2, so the fear, he's just fired too soon and it's just missed the thing. And screaming in terror, he's running for it now. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's off that way as this thing is coming for him. Altran can't fire this round, so he's going to come down off this. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to get himself to there, and that is everybody except Leonidas. Does Leonidas go into the fight? This is a big question because this thing is big and nasty, and we really need to weaken it. And if he goes into hand to hand, can we shoot at it? I don't think we can. So he's champing at the bit. He's really wanting to go in, but the others are yelling at him, "Stay back! Not yet! Not yet! Let us weaken him up." So he's, I just want to go in and kill the fucking thing. But then they're not going to let him because they are aware what will happen if he does. So, and what will happen is he'll be fighting it on their own while the rest of them are standing around looking at the bows going, well, you know, it would have been nice if we could have just shot the damn thing. But so I think that is our best chance, but I do have a bit of a worry that if our little human friend doesn't go first, he's in big danger. So let's hope we get a 1, and Ekanath doesn't get to add that extra dice this time, so it's only 6d6, a / roll 6d6. We need at least 1, and we got 1. That's brilliant news. We got a 1. So our little panicking human friend Yenoro is going to take that 1 so that he can run before this thing can run him down. And I'm going to give the other 1 to Kanji again. It makes sense because Kanji moves fast, so the idea, and he's a scout, so the idea that he reacts quickly is pretty, logical as well. So our panicking human friend is going to run for cover. He's going to run, I think, 1, 2, and then he's going to start climbing down this. It takes 2 to move down that, so he's gone over the side of that. He's trying to get away from this thing as it gets closer, and Kanji is going to do shoot and run. He's going to take another shot at this thing. He is going to run, so even if I get overly excited and forget to move him, we will retcon it because he will run. So he gets, again, this thing is out in the open, so 3 or better, and he's going to hit it. And 3, he has hit it. He's been doing well against this thing. So can he do a serious wound? He needs to overcome its armor first of all. He might do no wounds at all. So on a 3 or better to get past its armor, and no, twang, it's gone belting off its armor. He swears in cat person and runs for cover. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this ogre now has to pick one of the many targets it's seeing. So I think it's just going to go after whoever is the closest. So that guy's 11 away, that guy's 10 away, 7 to... Ah, right, okay, we've got 2 the same. So is he going to go after the cat man or the human first? Well, if he goes for Leonidas, he's still out in the open for everybody else. If he goes running towards this guy, he feels that the stalactites could give him some cover. So either way the one is still going to be out in the open because of the speed, but he'll be closer to cover. 5. In fact, there might actually be a couple of people that can't hit him from there. So he's gone. Whoa! So I was trying to turn the handle there to turn him around and accidentally caught the wrong thing and shrunk the ogre. I don't think we have the magical ability to do that. I'll turn the ogre. Also, it should be noted the ogre is no longer stunned, so we take that stun effect off the ogre. Now Altran's realising things have become a bit serious for him because this ogre's bearing down on him, and he doesn't think that the others are going to be able to kill it before it catches up with them. So he's panicking a little bit as well. So that's the ogre's goal. So it is Altran who's going to have to dash because he needs to be away from this thing before it squishes him like a bug. So Altran, who's a human, I think he moves it 4 with a 3-point dash. He does. So he's dashing. He's really dashing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, dashing up that corridor, yelling for help. It's after me, somebody stop it! As he tries to get away. Meanwhile, it's everybody else who hasn't acted yet. So Ekanath from there is going to... What's he going to do? I think he's going to use his last normal strand to cast another spell. And I think the spell he's going to cast... Now I'm actually torn between Steelbreaker to reduce the creature's armor, or Premonition to give us an extra roll on initiative, or Darts again to give one of the other archers an extra shot. One of the archers who's run out of ammunition. I probably Eltran to give him a chance, although Eltran might just keep pegging it at this rate. So I think of those spells, Darts is the easiest to cast, so he doesn't want to waste his last standard strand. He's going to cast Darts on Altran. 2d6 gets +2 for his devotion. That's 9, that's a pass, so Altran's bow is loaded again with a single shot. He has one shot with which he can try and injure this thing before it goes. Does Ekanath do anything else? Well, he's standing far enough back the Ogre can't reach him in one go, so I think he's okay. I think he's happy with that. He's going to yell at Balthazar to shoot the bloody thing, and Balthazar might not be able to because it might be out of range again. It's not, it's 15 away, so he's going to give it a try. 5 or 6 needed, and 6, thunk. That's hit it, but does it get past its armoured hide? Well, let's find out. 3 or better. 4, yes it does. So it's definitely going to at the very least stun the creature. How badly does it wound it? Well, if it can beat its toughness, it needs to roll a 6 to do that. He'll take 2 of the wounds off it, otherwise he only takes 1 off it. So let's see what happens there. 5, so that's 1 more wound the creature takes, and it's bellowing now in rage and fear actually, because it's very badly injured now, and I just can't seem to get that. That's why pop up, so take another 1 point off there, and there we go. So it is in quite a bad way. We've been able to take a lot of the hits down, and I've got a feeling that Leonidas is going to do something stupid any second now, and I think he's going to charge it. I don't think he's going to be convinced to hold back any longer, because he is a ferocious fighter and he wants to bring this thing down. He's hearing his friends screaming in terror as they get chased by this thing, and he's had enough. He just can't take it. He's going in. So he moves 6 to attack. 1, 2, 3, 4. He comes hurtling round the corner of that stalactite. Stalagmite, actually, I think that is, because it's larger at the bottom, so it must be underground. So it's a stalagmite. So he's come charging round with his bastard sword held high. He's going to attack ferociously. He's snarling like a lion that indeed he is. So he has the attack on the first exchange of the 3. So let's roll some dice and see what happens. So it's d6 for him with his +2 combat skill. Oh dear, he's only scored 4. The Ogre gets to roll his, and it's 7. It's managed to block him and fend him off. But, oh wait a minute, sorry, I did see he was attacking savagely, so those 2 first dice rolls should be his. Then the Ogre gets one. I picked the best of the 2. So obviously the 2 + 2 is not very good, so the 5 + 2, it's a 7. So the Ogre needs to try and beat a 7 on a d6. Oh, and it scored a 1. That's great news for excuse me, that's great news for Leonidas, who on a 6 will actually kill this thing. On anything else he'd reduce it to only 1 remaining wound. So actually no, that's not true, because he's got to overcome its armor yet. So on a 1 or a 2, nothing happens. Just glances off the armor. It has breached the armor, so let's see if he can score a 6 and just bring it down like the hero he is. He didn't. He scored 1, so he stunned it. He continues to have the advantage and still be the attacker in this exchange. Now, I should have said this thing is an abomination, which means all abominations automatically get counter-attack, which makes the thing bloody dangerous. So let's hope it doesn't beat him. But he has reduced it to a single wound. We are so close to beating it. He's still on the attack. He's still attacking ferociously. I'll roll both the 6-sided dice at once this time. So he scores a 6 and a 2. So he's going to take the 6. He's going to add +2 to that. That's 8. So the Ogre cannot beat him this round. It can draw, in which case they retreat an inch from one another and the exchange ends and the combat ends, but it can't actually beat him. So let's find out what it scores. 6, and it's managed to fend this ferocious catman off. He comes in swinging swords at it. The Ogre's desperately trying to defend itself. In the end, it kicks him in the chest and throws him backwards a meter. He's kind of staggering about, but he doesn't take any damage because the Ogre didn't beat him, it only drew, which means the combat ends. We don't get to do the third exchange, and it becomes the next combat round instead. Whew. So, things are looking good for Ekanath's Panthers at the moment. He says, wishing he hadn't said that in Tempted Fate, because the Ogre's in a bad way. It can only take one more hit before it goes down, and so far it hasn't managed to hit anybody. Largely because we were able to ambush it and position ourselves in such a way that we had the advantage of our missile fire to bring it down. So we are going in. Well, actually, has Altran fired that last bow shot yet? He hasn't, has he? Actually, though, I'm not sure he can from there, because I would say that this ledge is in the way. So I don't think he can fire that shot this round. So I think that is the round almost over, except obviously the new guy, as I'm going to keep calling him till his name sticks, Yanaro, is still trying to get down from there. So let's get him down. He can move 4 and then dash 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. He's heading towards the exit because he's terrified. This thing's beaten him once already. He can hear clashes and screams and snarls. He's got no idea what's going on in the darkness. He thinks that Ekanath's Panthers are being torn apart at this point. He doesn't realise how close they are to winning. So he's running towards the exit just in case. And we get to roll another 3d6 initiative. So let me just backslash. Has the Ogre gone? Yes, it has, hasn't it? Because Leonidas didn't get... Oh no, wait a minute. Did Leonidas not go... I've completely confused myself now. Did Leonidas not go first? In which case... I just didn't put a marker on. Am I right about that, or am I wrong? I genuinely can't remember. Did the Ogre move this round? I don't think it has, so I think actually that Yanaro is still back there at the moment. I think the Ogre's going next, and I think its only chance to beat Leonidas is for it to come in and attack him. So it's going to come charging in to attack him, and he is going to try and fend it off, obviously. So the Ogre, Leonidas now is on the defensive. He's going to fight defensively, which means I need to check up what that does again. So even though I use it all the time, my memory is appalling. I just can't remember. So melee combat, page 40. So checking for fight defensively. Character rolls twice and picks the best. And I've just realised I was completely wrong about what Fight Furiously does as well. It doesn't give him 2 dice rolls. It doesn't. It gives him +1 to hit. No, it doesn't. It gives him +1 to either overcome toughness or... Right, okay, so I've screwed up that entire combat round. So I don't normally like to retcon, but on this occasion I made a fairly substantial error that massively advantaged me. So I think I'm going to have to. Retcon that whole thing. So Leonidas came in, he rolled 2, so he got 4, he added 1 because he's fighting ferociously. No, he doesn't add 1 fighting ferociously, that does something else. Okay, so the Ogre hit Leonidas. That 5 belonged to the Ogre. The Ogre hit Leonidas. This is bad news. So Leonidas' armor, he's wearing the best armor we have, which is 2, which means the Ogre has automatically bypassed it. So it's now going to try and overcome Leonidas' toughness, which is lower than you'd think. It's only 3. So Leonidas' toughness is 3. The Ogre rolls a 5. Oh no! Oh no! Leonidas is down. The Ogre smashed him in the face and he has gone down. He's a casualty. And things are looking a bit rough for us after all. Sorry about that, I really cocked up the original round, which is why I refought it, because it did disadvantage me, it did advantage me more than it should have done. So he's gone down as a casualty, and now it's everybody else to, no, still getting it wrong. It's the Ogre to go. It's the Ogre to go, and then it's all of our slow movers. I do apologise, got myself overexcited, screwed things up a little bit there, but I think we are back on track now. So, I think he's probably going for Altran. So he's going after Altran. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll get into this square here. So he moves to that square there, where Altran can see he is coming. Altran now has an arrow he didn't have before because of that spell, so he can now shoot it before he runs. And believe me, he is definitely going to run. So there's a bit of a curvature on there. I'm going to say that gives the Ogre some defense. So I'm going to need a 5 or a 6 to hit him, and 3, that's a miss, and Altran is now off and running. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then he's going to dash 1, 2, 3. So he's running down this way. Those 2 human followers, well, Altran's no longer a follower, he's a hero. They're going to run straight into each other at the moment. That creature, I suspect, is now out of range of my archer this round. So Balthazar is going to draw a bead on him, just in case I'm wrong. Oh, look at that, 19. Would you believe it? Well, actually, I can move into range, and I will. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have loping run because I'm a feral. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which means I can move and shoot a bow, which humans can't. They can move half their movement and then shoot, but not all of it. So let's see if... Oh, 6! He's managed to shoot the Ogre in the back. Can he get past that bloody armour, though? Let's find out. 6! Yes, he did. Now, can he overcome the toughness? In which case he'll do 2 wounds to him and put him back on the 1 we thought he was going down to when Leonidas made a suicidal charge. Or does he only do 1 point of damage? Let's find out. 2. So it's only 1 point of damage, but it has stunned the Ogre again. So the Ogre's down to 2 health now. And Kanji over here is going to be very much out of range. So I'm going to just call that round there. Draw the veil over that round. Try to get this next round done correctly. So we're now down to 5, which means Ekanath could actually summon a large cat to defend him, attack the Ogre if he wanted to. But first of all, we need to find out who gets to go when. So /roll 5d6 now. So we scored a 2 and 2 1s. So that's great news, because that means I can give the 1 to Balthazar so that he goes in the fast action phase. At least I could if I could get this to pop up, so I'll put the fast action marker on him. I can give another 1 to, well, anybody, but the two humans are not in a position to be fighting now. They're just screaming in the darkness, running for their lives. So I'm going to give that one to Kanji, so that Kanji can try and get a shot off at this blasted ogre as well. Kanji's actually done more damage to it than anything else. And Ekanath's going to get the 2, because we know Ekanath has an agility of 2, so you'd still get to go in fast action this round, which means Ekanath, Kanji, Balthazar all act before the ogre. And what they are going to do is Ekanath is going to cast Steel Breaker on the... no, he'd have to use a major... He'd have to use one of those congealed strings, wouldn't he? Is it worth it at this stage? I'm actually really unsure. I don't think it is, because the ogre can't actually reach anybody this round. So if he closes the distance next round and things look a bit grim, then I might consider it. But I really don't want to get rid of one of my congealed strings. They're just too valuable. So Ekanath's going to wait for a moment, and instead is going to shout encouragement to Kanji and Balthazar. Balthazar's going to move forward 2, 3, 4, using his lope and run. He's sort of bounding across the battlefield, snarling and hissing, his furs sticking out. He knocks an arrow, and as he leaps up from his lope and run up into the air, he fires this shot at this damnable abomination, which is now 10 meters from him. So, and it's in the open. 3 or better to hit. That's at 1. He's run out of ammunition. Oh no! So as he leaps up, he tries to knock an arrow, and he realizes he just doesn't have any left. So he has run out of ammunition at a really, really inopportune time. There's a look on his face that just says shit. As he panics and realizes he's now getting closer to an ogre. He doesn't have the ability to harm. Ekanath's eyes are rolling, but he now knows what he's going to do, and he's going to have to use that congealed string, I think. But we're going to wait and see what Kanji does first. Well, Kanji's going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, also with a lope and run, trying to back up Balthazar, coming in hard against this ogre, shooting it in the back as well. Please don't run out of ammunition. Please don't run out of ammunition. We can't beat it in hand to hand without Leonidas, and no, we can't. So let's just roll D6 for this shot. That's 5. That's a hit. He's hit it in the back. Thunk. Now we're trying to beat its armor, which we didn't do. It glances off the armor, but at least we've still got arrows, which is a good thing at the very least. So Ekanath is going to cast... he's going to use one of those congealed strings. I hate that he's going to have to do this, but he is going to have to do this. He only burns it if he successfully casts the spell, of course. It is darts. It is a D6. It is a target of 6. So 7, 8, 9 in total. So Balthazar gets 1 single arrow back, and I lose a congealed string. Oh no. Okay, so the ogre's going to have to think, what's it going to do at this point? Is it going to continue trying to chase that human that's running away from it? I think it probably is, because it knows those archers are not going to be able to shoot it if it can get around that corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 round that corner, sick of things shooting at it, and it's seen its prey. It's seen Altran, who's desperately trying to get away from this thing. It's Altran to go next. He doesn't have any arrows left. He fired the one that Ekanath summoned for him. So he's going to run around. Does he leave, or does he run around the corner? I think he tries to draw him back into the ambush. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He's going to dash as well. 1, 2, 3, and on the way past Yanaro, he's going to yell, "It's coming down that passage! Run this way! Follow me!" So Yanaro is not one to have to be told twice. He's not going to bother to follow him. He's going to outpace him. He's going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, dash and back up in the desperate hopes that the other catmen can defend them from this ogre which is thundering down the corridor towards them. And another round ends, and we are running out of ammunition, and it's going to be a close run thing now, actually. It was looking really good for us at one point, and now it's not. Now it's looking a lot closer. Let's just find out how things go. Okay, so that's all of last round's fast actions off. So it's 5d6. Do you know, I don't need to type that in anymore. 56. So we've got a 2 and a 1. So I'm going to have Kanji and Balthazar are going to take the fast actions this round. So Balthazar and Kanji. So Balthazar is going to fire that last shot if he can get a clear shot at this thing. Which from there, I would say it's in cover. He's going to need a 6. So is it worth firing them if he's only got one shot left? I think actually possibly not. I think he'd be better manoeuvring and shooting later. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's see if Kanji has a clear shot at him. And Kanji, from there, again, the thing's in cover, really. So Kanji's going to have to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to there, which would give him some elevation and would allow him to shoot. So he's going to run up to there and turn and fire at the ogre. The ogre's going to be in cover though, so I'm going to need a 6 to hit him. It's a 2, it's a miss. So Kanji's still got ammunition. Balthazar's got one shot left. The ogre is running down this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chasing my guys. It's them to go. They're running away. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Ekanath is holding his position. That's another round gone, and yeah, that's another round gone. We're going to take these fast action markers off, and we are going to roll to see what happens next. So 5d6. We got a 1 and a 2. So I am going to say, I'm going to give the 2 to Kanji, which makes him go first, and I'm going to give the 1 to Altran, so that he also goes first, and Altran is going to scream and shout and try and draw the ogre into this trap. And 1, 2, 3, 4, then dash. 1, 2, 3 to there. Kanji is going to race down this way. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So it's the ogre to go. The ogre is going to come thundering around this corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. That's as far as it gets. So it gets to there. So our slow movers now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4. He should be able to, oh, he hasn't moved. He should be able to see that ogre from where he is. He's only got one shot. He really needs to make it count. I don't think the ogre's actually in cover from there though. No, he is, so I'm going to hold it another round. Ekanath's going to do nothing. That's another round spent. Oh, it's tense. Here we go. Okay, so why is that not working? That's why. Okay, so that comes off. And that comes off. And we roll 5d6 again. And the Ogre's gone first this round. Everybody on our side has rolled badly. We've got 4s and 6s, so the Ogre 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so doing and chasing down these fleeing men. I just realised I've still got his fast action marker on. And chasing down these fleeing men comes slap into range of Balthazar, who now needs a 3 or a better to hit it with that last shot. 6, that's a hit, and 6, it's gone straight past his armour, and a 1. So it hasn't overcome his toughness, but it has caused another wound, but I'm now out of ammunition again. But the thing's down to just 1 hit point. Kanji, knowing that it's almost over, 1, 2, 3, 4, he can get to there, and Kanji can open fire on it as well. He needs a 3 or a better, and 3, he's hit. He's failed to overcome its armour. It's just ricocheted off. The Ogre's still alive. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're moving out. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's moving down, and it's the next combat round. So 5d6, and we have a 1, which I'm going to give to Kanji in order for Kanji to shoot before the Ogre gets to move, and then everybody else gets to go after. So Kanji, who's our last archer with any actual bloody arrows, so he is going to fire at the creature. 5, he's hit it. He's overcome its armour. He's failed to overcome its toughness, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It only had 1 wound left. He shoots it straight through the throat, and in a gurgling noise, the Ogre staggers forward 3 steps and then hits the ground with a thunderous noise as its massive bulk slams into the earth, and it dies right there and then in its lair. And we're able to check on our casualties and to recover the quest item. Recovered quest item. Whoa, that was difficult, and we might have lost Leonidas. Well, we're going to have to find out soon. We're going to have to go over to the after action part of the game. It's going to be the next thing. So let me just pop us on this chart here, and there we go. Right, so we go into our. So we some of us are running to grab the congealed string that the Hermit wants back from where the Ogre's kind of tied it into a band around his arms as some kind of trinket. We get that back for the. There's actually a couple of them, and we get those back for the Hermit so that we've completed our second part of the quest. And we also have members of the Warband running over to the fallen Leonidas to make sure that he is going to be okay. So the resolution stage, we begin with okay. So 187. Collect adventure points. So depending on the battle you just fought, you now receive any adventure points to which you are entitled. Add together any of the following activities. So, victorious enemy threat, victorious raid, defeat an aberration. So we get an adventure point for defeating the aberration, and it took some doing, I have to say. I hate those bloody things. So adventure points, we're back up to 11 on those. Finish a contract, it was also a contract, so we're on 12 out of those. And check for injuries or flight from the dark. Well, we're not having to worry about flight from the dark, so it's just straight into injuries, and it's on the hero table. So let's roll on that, and that's a D100, and we've scored 36, so we have a moderate injury for Leonidas. Leonidas has a moderate injury. He's going to be out D6 rounds, unless we can do anything about that, of course. So D6. Oh dear God! Right. Okay. So Leonidas out for 5 campaign turns. Happened on campaign turn 9, so returns campaign turn 14. So 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, yes. So he's out, unless there might be some things we can do with some of our special items that we've got, but we'll look into that shortly. So first of all, I know that he rolled a 30. 36. Okay, lucky characters. Characters with luck points may ignore a result from the injury table. Does Leonidas have a luck point? He doesn't. No, he doesn't. Silverleaf. After rolling on the injury table, but not the flight from the dark, the user does a silverleaf to re-roll, but the new result must count, even if it's worse. Well, there's no chance. I am not doing that. Because I could wind up dead, and I don't want to. It could be worse than it already is. Moderate's actually not that bad, but so it could be a lot worse. So I'm not rolling that. Not taking the silver leaf and not risking it. So check for advancement. So we'll come on to that shortly. Require some experience point if they survived. Yep. Roll for loot. If you achieved your objective in the battle, you may roll once on the loot table. So roll for loot once. I'm going to list all the things that I need to do, and then I'll do them as I reach them by scrolling down the page. So roll for unusual finds if you held the field in this scenario. Yeah, so roll once for unusual find. Let's see now. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, so I just need to roll down there, so I've got, I can't actually spot the loot table, but I find the unusual, I know where it is, it's a bit further down, but I find the unusual finds table first, which seems a little bit odd, so doesn't really matter though. I'm going to roll D100 now as directed, and we're going to see what unusual find we found. On a 6 in the sight battle, nothing, we didn't find anything else of interest. So settle in. If you're in the same map area as a settlement, you can begin the next campaign turn. And also we'll beginning the next turn camped. So it's D100 on the news table. So let's roll a D100 to find out what news reaches us as we're slogging our way back towards the towards Herman the Hermit's base of operations. An old ruin has become home for a strange creature. Randomly select a settlement and place a delve in the same map area. Okay, so I will I'll make a note of that and we'll do that later. So randomly select settlement and place delve in same square. Right you are. So we just work out the experience points now. So everybody who survived the encounter. Now by survived, they mean was actually standing upright by the end of it. So unfortunately Leonidas doesn't get a point for that. But Ekanath does, he gets 16. Balthazar is now on 11. Altran is now on 3. Kanji is now on 12. And Yanaro doesn't roll on the thing, he gets doesn't get experience points, rather he rolls on the Flash of Inspiration, so we'll get to that later. Enemy leader slain, no heroic slayer. Distribute experience points equal to the reward rating of the aberration slain. Now, the reward rating, I think, was 2. Reward rating was 2. So I've got 2 experience points to distribute. Well, they've both got to go to Kanji. He did the majority of this, so Kanji gets those 2. Held the field, we get 1. So Kanji's gone up to 15, which will give him another roll, I think. Altran's now on 4. Ekanath's now on 17. Balthazar is now on 12. And obviously Leonidas still doesn't get any because he was knocked out. So that's one of our guys has now just gone up to the point where he would get a roll, I think. Yes, Kanji has. So I'm going to roll for Kanji after the game and tell you about what he got when we start play next week. So we, I think that is us done. We are on our way back to the Hermit. But I do need to roll a Flash of Insight for our new follower, Yanaro. So he has to roll on the Flash of Insight table, which is D100. And he scored 80, which means he gained a skill. Select a skill of your choice. Select, not randomly roll. So again, I'm going to sort that out off air. Select a new skill for Yanaro. So there we go. The battle is over. The Ogre is dead. Leonidas is severely injured but will recover. And then we have found the items that the Hermit wanted us to bring back in exchange for his help on our quest. And that is where we will pick this up next week. So thank you very much for tuning in to watch it. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Ekanath's Panthers. That was, I think that's episode 6, is it 5? Not quite sure. It's one or the other. So we will pick this up from there next time. Just remains for me and for Ekanath Panthers to say from us, do stay safe, take care, but for now, good night.